Let's structure our analysis around this quote from Bakunin, starting from that slice of revolution that is reality and which can only be history then. A not so hidden allegory of the US in recent years, shaken by the Trump quake, torn by racial conflicts, fueled by supremacist lodges operating in broad daylight, and made fragile and darkened by social policies, the neoliberal ones, that have exacerbated financial and economic polarities and inequalities. While many other directors like Ari Aster with Eddington or Alex Garland with Civil War remain strictly allegorical or dystopian, approaching the genre of satire with varying degrees of irony, Paul Thomas Anderson tends as usual towards the pastiche, which is the postmodern genre par excellence, since it indicates the blending of all cinematic genres. And here, in fact, we find drama, comedy, romance, western, and also science fiction. All movies by Paul Thomas Anderson depict struggles for power, often through surrogate or dysfunctional families, because a family is the most basic power structure. It is the atom of power. So Perfidia, the passionate woman who lets French 75, embodies utopia, the revolutionary dream, the place in society that does not yet exist. Indeed, she remains unreachable by all the characters who, in a frenzied movement, strive to capture her. Her partner, her daughter, and Colonel Lockjaw, who represent the opposite and contrary impulse to Perfidia, a principle of order, hierarchy, and stability. Willa ultimately represent the strength and hope of the new generations fighting for change. So if Lacan defined the name of the father as the operator who fulfills a legislative, prohibitive, and authoritarian function within psychic dynamics, here we might rather speak of the name of the mother, namely Perfidia, who, through her absence, forces the identities around her to structure themselves around the void she herself created. Lockjaw embodies the superego, the internalization of paternal authority, while DiCaprio instead manifests the id, the instinctual component guided by the pleasure principle. This conflict is nothing new in PTA's filmography. We can think of Phoenix versus Seymour Hoffman in The Master, or Sportello versus Bigfoot in Inherent Vice, but there are many others. Willa is left then with the role of the ego, and in fact she is forced to choose between two antagonistic fathers. It is therefore not fathers who recognize children, but rather children who recognize fathers. Recognition, however, requires not a biological but rather an ideological basis. This is the meaning of the scene in which Willa, gun in hand, orders Ghetto to pronounce the revolutionary slogans. Sharing values and ideals counts more than blood, even in family relationships. The history of every family is in fact a story of a revolution, because power relations gradually reverse, and as fathers age, they become, to put it in the words of Gordon Gekko, the bones on which the children sharpen their teeth. Gillo Pontecorvo's masterpiece The Battle of Algiers, a 1957 movie that not only aired in DiCaprio's living room, but also seems to have inspired the name of the revolutionary organization French 75. French, like the domination of Algeria, and 75, like the year of Pontecorvo's movies was released, but reversed. The Battle of Algiers is also echoed in the construction of urban environments during the guerrilla warfare, while the military and Masonic architecture of Christmas Adventurers is more reminiscent of Pacula's architectural volumes. They are vast, symmetrical, and looming, like the authority they manifest. Penn's character is a clear parody of US military authoritarianism, embodied by General Turgidson in Dr. Strangelove or General Patton, both played by George C. Scott, to whom Penn bears an uncanny resemblance. On the other hand, DiCaprio is modeled after the Big Lebowski or after Joaquin Phoenix in Inherent Vice, or both. Three masterful sequences are to be mentioned. One is the opening sequence, which narrates French 75's infiltration in the military camp. Then Ghetto and Sensei's escape through the urban maze, and the final chase in the desert. Disorienting sequences inhabited by eccentric, unmappable, dynamic and dispersive spaces. 3 sequences united by an Altmanesque movement aimed at dispersion, itself a political statement that opposes centripetal and hierarchical motions, constantly propelled by the plasticity of the tracking shots, absorbed by the real duration of the long takes, and relaunched by the alternating editing and the continuous play of fades. One battle after another is launched toward the dissolution of the balances and their hierarchies generated by the images themselves, motivated then to encounter and pursue its own eccentricity in a revolutionary motion.